We are just going to jump right into this recipe. You can either follow me and do what I'm doing, or you could pre-cook your rice or buy pre-cooked rice. Just keep in mind that 1 cup of uncooked rice equals 3 cups of cooked rice. I have 1 cup of brown rice and I'm going to wash this. I ended up washing this, I know, at least 5 times because it's dirty. I mean, rice is basically dirty, and you see how dirty it is. Now, if you see anything floating on top of the water, let it go out too, because more than likely that's just husk. Once I finished washing my 1 cup of brown rice, I went ahead and I put about 1 cup of water on top of this rice, and we're just going to set that aside because this will soften that rice. And you could do this a couple hours before you start this recipe if you want to. But we'll get back to the rice in a moment. Now over to the stovetop. I have scrambled 1 pound of ground turkey, and I use ground turkey because I have the alpha-gal syndrome. I am allergic to pork and beef, among other things, but if you want to use ground beef, use ground beef. And I wanted to show y'all, I did try this little hack with the paper towel, trying to soak up the grease. That does not work for me. If you do that and you like that hack, you do you, but that just wasn't for me. I made sure to wash and rinse my ground turkey. Okay, I added 1 whole bell pepper, 2 stalks of celery, and 1 small yellow onion diced. I did use the celery leaves as well. You can do that. Now let's add some other ingredients. We are going to add 1 teaspoon of paprika, 2 teaspoons of parsley. I like to put a lid on this. You don't have to do that, but we are going to let this simmer for 5 minutes. Back to our rice. Remember I told you that if you let this brown rice soak for a couple hours before you do your recipe, it helps to soften those husks? Well, I didn't do that. So what I did do was put it in the microwave for 5 minutes, and it helped to speed the process along. This process is actually called osmosis, and it's a little complicated to explain, but basically when it comes to cooking, when you soak beans or you soak rice, it just means the beans or rice absorbs the water. This helps to soften them, and there's less cook time involved. But back to the recipe. I added the rice and the 1 cup of water that it had been soaking in to the recipe. Now we're going to add 1 teaspoon of Tony Chachere's no salt Cajun seasoning. You can add whatever brand you like to use, but do keep in mind the sodium in it. That's why I like Tony Chachere's. They do make a no salt. Now we're going to add 1 can of diced tomatoes with green chilies. If you don't like green chilies, just add tomatoes. But those green chilies really give this dish a great flavor. We're not through yet. Add 1 cup of water and put the lid on this. Now we are going to let this cook for 20 minutes so that rice gets done. Also, if you're using the pre-cooked rice, you don't have to cook this for 20 minutes, so it makes it a little easier. After we give this time to cook, we are going to add our black-eyed peas. And I'm adding 2 cans of black-eyed peas, and I add them last so that they don't get mushy. And then once you add those black-eyed peas, just give it a stir, and then we're just going to let this cook for maybe another 10 minutes. And voila, about 10 minutes later, this is ready to be served. Y'all, this was so good. I made a pan of fried cornbread to go with this. In fact, this was so good. I ate some for lunch today. My husband took some for lunch. And I don't know if it didn't taste better today than it did yesterday.